Hi, baby boomer fans. We are Jackie and Janine, the Pfeiffer sisters, and love to talk about the 1950s, inviting you to reminisce with us as we explore experiences of that decade. Grab your favorite malt or Green River. Make sure you are wide awake and get ready to be inspired about the 1950s. Welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat. Welcome. Merry Christmas on this Merry Christmas Day when we will stream this Fun Chat. And we think that you will have a great time reminiscing about Christmases past as when you hear our two guests talk today about their Christmases from the 1950s. Jackie, take it away.
All righty. Want to first of all remind our guests to look at the bottom, that purple banner. Check out www.wildthewindmillwatch.com, and you will find so many interesting bits of information there. We have our vendors. We have something about the book, something about the authors, and the 1950s Fun Chat. All of them previous to this, because this is 120. That's a lot of chatting in a couple of years.
Hasn't it been fun?
Yes, we have learned so much. Mm-hmm. Also, please note on the upper right-hand corner, the copy of the book, While the Windmill Watched. And you'll see that is a beautiful North Dakota sunset that wraps around the book. And that little white dot in the lower right-hand corner indicates a very special award. Our book first was published in 2021. In 2022, it became a winner in the National Independent Press Award in the regional category as the favorite, the distinguished favorite, in fact, in that category, the nonfiction regional category. So we're very pleased to have that little icon on the front of the book. We will begin now by introducing two guests. Our first one happens to have been our very first guest years ago. Her name is Kay Ogren, and we are glad she's back with us. She was born in 1953 and grew up on a farm in Southwest Iowa. She graduated from Iowa State University with an early childhood degree and teaching certification, subsequently teaching kindergarten, first grade for over 40 years, bless your heart. Presently, she's retired, but does some substitute teaching, especially in high school ag and industrial technology. Now, Kay is also a farm wife who enjoys working in her flower beds and garden, and she loves to work outside beside her husband, Chuck. They live near Marcus in Northwest Iowa. They have 2 adult children and 4 wonderful grandchildren. So, Kay, welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat again.
Thank you, Jackie and Janine.
Hi.
We're pleased to have you.
Yeah.
Our next guest is also from that area. Anna Schmadeke was born in 1953 in Neustadt, Germany. Her father was an American GI who met and married a beautiful German woman, her mother, while he was stationed in Germany. She was born in Germany while her father was back in the States. And when she was 6 months old, Anna and her mother came to the U.S. Anna was raised on a farm 5 miles west of Cherokee, Iowa. She currently lives in Marcus, Iowa. Anna and her husband, Bruce, had one daughter who gave them 2 beautiful grandchildren, Jaren, I didn't ask you how to pronounce it, Jaren and Brenna. Okay, before she passed away. Anna is a retired educator, a veteran of that career for over 40 years. Bless you, too. Welcome to the 1950s Fun Chat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're going to begin by talking about Christmas. So, Kay, can you tell us what constituted Christmas preparations in your home?
Oh, that's a great question, Jackie. And there was lots of preparations. I'm just going to go right to Christmas Eve. We would go to church, we would come home, and the stockings were hung. And Santa was left a treat always in the living room near the stockings. And so we were getting ready and had to go to bed earlier than normal. But in the morning, we would try to peek down the steps and look towards the living room to see if Santa had come. But the rule was in our house, nobody could come downstairs unless all 3 of us were wide awake and ready to come down. So I was usually one of the first ones that was anxiously waiting for the other two to wake up and steps.
Hey, Kate, tell us about your treats that you left for Santa. What kind of treats were they?
Well, usually it was because everyone's milk and cookies,
Uh-huh.
and it was a glass of milk. And knowing now what I know, neither parent drank milk,
Oh.
but the cookies were always gone, and they did something with the milk. So
Yes.
And, all righty. So what about before that? Did you help prepare baking wise or?
Mom and I, sure,
Mhm.
I would definitely help make sugar cookies, cut out cookies, and we'd either sprinkle the colored sugars on them or frost them and decorate them with, the red hots for the
Mm.
reindeer's nose. And it was always fun to do cookie baking together.
Yes.
Okay. Anna, tell us about your Christmas preparations.
Ours probably were a little bit different because my mom was German.
Mhm.
And there, for example, you don't buy trees early. We always had a real tree, but she would go like 3 days before Christmas and get a tree. We have infamous stories about our Christmas trees because imagine the trees that are left over 3 days before Christmas.
Mm.
And in fact, she went back and she took 2 trees and put them together, but that's another story. One of the things I did remember is that, and I brought one because I still have them. I don't know. It's the Firestone Christmas albums. And the Firestone stores had every year a different album. And my mother loved the classics, and it was a lot of the classic Christmas songs. And so she would get the one record and play it over and over and over. But I have about 4 of them, and I still love to listen to them. The one thing I will say, my mom it was very important that we use always our good dishes at Christmas. Tables are set, candles everywhere. She really liked that tradition that she grew up with.
Anna, coming from Germany, was there the large outdoor Christmas markets then at that time? Do you recall anything about those?
I do. It was about when I was about 5th or 6th grade. I was trying to find pictures. My parents decided to go back and visit my grandparents. Unfortunately, my grandfather died a week before suddenly, so we didn't able to see him. But in Nuremberg, they have something called Christkindl Market, and it's all outdoor markets. It's they're beautiful, beautiful wares. And also, we would always get cookies, and my aunt would always send us cookies called Lebkuchen. They only are made, Nuremberger Lebkuchen are only made at Christmas. And we would wander outside, and you go from vendor to vendor, and it is spectacular.
Is that held, well, I want to say rain or shine every year?
Yes, it is. And it's like tents. So they're all tented.
Okay.
And so they can enclose their tents and so forth. It is held every year. It's held for about, if I recall, 3 to 4 weeks right before Christmas.
It'd be neat to know if any of our viewers have been to this market as well in Nuremberg. Yes.
So we're talking about our families and traditions. So can you, Anna, think of about 3 people outside of your family who have influenced your Christmas traditions now?
I would say probably my grandmother Rupp. She was always, when my mother came to the States, she really, as my mom would say, wrapped her arms around her. And she really loved upon her, kind of showed her some of the American traditions. So it is, the Christmas Eve, the midnight church service we would always attend, and she always came to our Christmases. She would be one. I would say that probably I have an aunt, Aunt Monica, and she oftentimes came. Oh, and I would also say, because my mother was a German war bride, she became friends. And so they would share their German because North Germany and South Germany traditions were different. And so they would share that. And so we would do that. And then sometimes we would sing, I could hear them singing German songs, German Christmas songs. And I remember that. And I like to do that too.
Anna, were there favorite foods that your mom made, favorite German foods that your mom made, especially at Christmas time?
The interesting thing, and I've inherited, Germans didn't have the cutout cookies. It's a foreign thing. And my mom attempted to make it with us at one time. It was a fiasco because after she had the dough too thick, and when she, you know how you bake them, and they're a blob. And so I have never learned how to make cutout cookies or anything like that. But she did what we call Stollen, and it is like a bread that has some of the currants in and so forth. I would say they don't do a lot. I mean, they go to the bakeries. That's the thing. They go to the bakeries who make these once at Christmas, these kind of cookies and so forth. I did learn how to make, they're called Pfeffernuss or pepper nuts, I think we call them here. And I did learn how to make that. But typically it was always a Stollen or strong dark coffee.
Kay, coming from a family of German heritage, did your mom make Stollen or Pfeffernuss or any of those traditional German recipes?
Janine, I don't remember that she did.
Okay.
No, I really don't. So
Okay, what were some of the foods that you can recall having had at Christmas time?
Sure. Well, at Christmas Eve was always at my dad's parents, Grandma and Grandpa Knopp, and we would go to this little red house, and she had the very first aluminum Christmas tree that I'd ever seen. That was very unusual and different, but it was there every single year. And her menu was oyster stew and then like a chicken noodle for those of us that didn't really care for the oyster stew. But that was a tradition on Christmas Eve with the Knopp side of the family. And then Christmas Day, we would go into Grandma and Grandpa Masteller's home in Atlantic. My cousins would all be there, and we would have a very good time. And two of my cousins and I, we were about the same age. We would always sneak in the kitchen. We were trying to sneak candy and the fudge before it was really supposed to be eaten before the meal, but we would kind of just sneak around the kitchen and see what we could find. So great memory.
That aluminum Christmas tree, did your grandparents have the strobe light with it too?
They did not, Janine. No, they didn't have the wheel that would have colored it. It was in the window, and they lived right on Highway 71, and you could see it from their picture window.
Yeah,
the month of December.
So Kay, what about the 3 or so people who influenced you that weren't necessarily in your family? Maybe like a Sunday school teacher or someone outside of your family.
Well, the Christmas program that was given at church was always very special. And each year, each class did something different or then joined together for some musical numbers. So I can think of a 3rd grade teacher, especially because that's the year like I received my Bible, was in 3rd grade, and Jimmy Anderson was my teacher, and a long life member of the church that we attended there in Atlantic. So that was always special.
All righty. So can you recall favorite Christmas gift from the 50s? 1 or 2 or whatever. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. One of my favorites was my sled, to get a sled for Christmas. Something I didn't really care for. May I share that? I got this white fluffy purse, and I thought, what it was a white drawstring purse, but it was like furry, it was fake fur. I just really didn't like it, and I think I was probably rude to my folks or Santa Claus when I opened that gift up. I thought, because I don't think I ever used it. That's really terrible of me? But I didn't appreciate it, and I'm sorry now.
But I don't think we necessarily like every gift we get when it's a surprise.
Thanks. I'm sure it wasn't on my list. See, if we gave Santa a list.
Sure. When you wondered if your letter got crossed with someone else's in the mail.
That could be.
North Pole.
Yeah.
And a white fluffy hat came with it too, and that was just
Well,
very unusual.
yes. So Anna, what about you and your favorite gifts?
All right. But first of all, knowing Kay, she would never be rude. She just wouldn't wear it.
That's good.
I actually have one of mine. It was a tradition in our house that you always got a book. And my favorite book, still have it, it is Heidi.
Heidi.
Yes.
Ah,
And even though Heidi was made in 1937, I had to look up when the movie was. We watched it every Christmas. See, my mom just loved Heidi.
Mhm.
It was done in the area, the movie, where she grew up in the Bavarian Alps. And so then my mom would always inscribe in it. And I have to share. And every year, and I had a book, and every book is inscribed. It says, to Anna from Mommy and Daddy. And it was December of 1960 in this one. So
nice.
yes.
Mhm.
And then the other one I was a tea set, and which was so appropriate because my mom, as I said, she loved her china, her dishes, and always she had a lot of tea or coffees with ladies. And so I got a miniature, real little dishes. I think we broke them all because I don't have any. But yeah, and we did it, and we play with it. And my grandmother, Rupp, was there always on Christmas Eve. And I think she played hours with my sister and I tea. We had water and so forth. And those two gifts are always special.
Ah, yes, yes.
Yes.
It's interesting. Sometimes I have opportunity to on Facebook to visit with acquaintances, and when I ask a question about a favorite Christmas gift from the 50s, and many people have responded with a book of lifesavers. Did you ever get a book of lifesavers?
I didn't, but I wish.
Yes.
I remember at 4-H when we'd have a grab bag.
Yes.
People would give that as a gift, that book of lifesavers. But I didn't ever receive that gift. But I always was impressed too, Janine.
Yes. Well, I remember getting one as a gift,
Yes.
grab bag gift for 4-H, and opening it. I think there were 6 different rolls of lifesavers in there. And you know what's so interesting is that I happened to be at Walmart the other day, and they did have this book of lifesavers.
Oh, really?
I opened it, and there's only one roll of one
Oh.
flavor.
Well, bummer. Huh? Not much of a book.
Yeah.
But interesting. Retro is popular, and that certainly is sort of retro. Just
Well, you know what else? I'm curious to know, ladies, did you ever get the paper bag of candy and peanuts, and maybe the paper bag had an apple or an orange in it?
And the ribbon candy.
Yes.
Did you get that at school, either of you?
I didn't get it at school. We at our church, we would have a Christmas Eve service and then go down. There would be a coffee for the adults. And yes. And I think about that now, that you get a paper bag with, it was peanuts, apples, oranges, and the ribbon candy. Of course, I went for the candy right away. But then it would be the orange. And we thought it was great. We could hardly wait.
Yeah. Special. How about you, Kay?
Very similar experience, but ours was given to us after the Christmas program was over. So after the Christmas program that the children all that we were participating in, then we go back to fellowship hall, and they'd have the sacks of candy with at least an apple and some of the ribbon candy and a
sugar plums. Sugar plums. Sugar plums.
No.
What is how are you describing a sugar plum, Jackie?
Well, it is chocolate, and inside is this sickeningly sweet, filling of white. Yeah.
But it was a firm filling.
It was firm, yeah.
But that's another thing I saw at Walmart the other day too. Because were those things, and Fred didn't know anything about them, so he said, "Well, why don't you get a bag?" And so I didn't care for them. They're so sweet. But so he had one, and I said, "Well, what'd you think?" "Oh, I don't think I'll eat the rest of them." Well, they had their purpose in 1950, but I don't know if they have a purpose now.
Yeah, I didn't care for them then anymore. So how about music? We've talked about Christmas programs here, and when you hear special music today, Christmas songs, which ones are special to you and why?
Well, I'll start with that answer.
Okay.
My dad would play "Oh Holy Night," and it was just gorgeous on the piano. And he would not play it any other time of the year except at
Oh.
Christmas. And I happen to have that piece of music in my possession now that I can play that same piece, "Oh Holy Night." And it was
Nice.
Oh.
Do you play it only at Christmas time, or do you play it other times of the year?
no, just at Christmas, I think, Janine.
Uh-huh.
And I could play it anytime, yes.
You could. But that's special. How
Mhm.
about you, Anna?
I would say Silent Night, both
Mm.
in English and in German.
Mhm.
We're living in a pretty much a German community, especially around a nearby town, Remsen, and you often hear that sung in German, and I like that very much. And the other one I would say would be Away in a Manger. That's a special song. I think especially as I get older and we see children singing it in their church Christmas programs, and there's besides the first verse, there's other verses that are very meaningful, and I just really like that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And the way the manger is so cute when they act it out. All the acting
Yes.
goes away in the manger. The
Yeah.
little
Yes.
Right.
As Sunday school teachers, were you ever responsible for teaching the little kids that song, "Away in the Manger"?
Mhm.
yes.
I think both. I know Kay probably was. I was too, but I'm not a singer. I just have a joyful noise.
That's right.
That's what I do too, Anna. Joyful noise.
Yes, but it's the thought, it's the heart. It's the heart.
That's right. Yeah. So have either of you been able to take a sleigh ride with bells on the horses going jingle, jingle, jingle?
Yes, I don't know if Kay ever did that. When Marcus for a period it was it no, it was south of us. I can't think of it.
Grand Meadow.
Grand Meadow. Thank you, Kay. Grand Meadow, just for a year or two, they had it's a country school. It's not, of course, in
All right.
working, but they would have a Christmas festival, and they had a sleigh ride, and with the bells on and everything, and it was free. You could just get on it, and they would go across the snow-covered field.
Wow.
It was so beautiful. I just thought, oh, wouldn't that have been fun to always travel at Christmas Eve and that to church or something? It was beautiful.
With baked potatoes on your feet so that your feet would stay warm, maybe.
No, but I think I probably have warmer boots now than they ever did back then.
Yeah. Or hot rocks.
That
Yes.
reminds me of the Little House on the Prairie series with the Christmas chapters where they did have the hot potatoes
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
to go home in.
Had you gone on a sleigh ride, Kay?
I have not. No.
Okay. And I know your folks had some sleigh bells. Do you recall what the history of those? And they had the most beautiful sound to them.
I know it. I feel like they came from Dad's parents. And then my dad, my dad then had them always hanging in that one spot in the kitchen there, Janine, that
In the kitchen.
yeah, in the kitchen by his desk. So they were very pretty, and we just knew they were old and they had a little history to them.
No, I don't. It's interesting though that all the Christmases we had there at family Christmases with those bells, I don't remember the grandchildren, even when they were little, trying to shake them. Do you recall that at all?
I think that's very true. I don't remember them being rung when we were there for Christmas.
Yes, yes. Well, I want to get off into a subject that maybe a lot of people might not know something about, and maybe some will. And it has to do with the movie that was made in 1989 called National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. For many people, it's iconic. The sayings that go along with it, some of the fixtures that were a part of the movie have been reproduced, and there are Christmas parties, National Lampoon Christmas parties. Good ladies, have you had any experience with Cousin Eddie or with Clark or with Todd and Margot? Anna's got her Bullwinkle cup.
Oh yeah,
That was used in the movie. Of course, it had eggnog in it at the time, but it was kind of a play on the era of the 50s and 60s, and was there anything in that movie that was reminiscent to either of you about Christmases in that decade when you were children?
I'm thinking of the Jello in the Jello in the wrapped gift. But Well, I mean, we always had Jello with bananas and marshmallows, but wasn't it Aunt? Was it Edna?
Edna.
Edna
Yes.
with a little hat, and then that.
Yeah. Well, Jello became very popular in the 1950s. I mean, that was a huge thing, as known as a salad at the time, was Jello.
I know.
How about
I made Jello.
Oh.
I was going to say, I'm sorry. I made Jello for my grandkids last week. They weren't impressed. Okay.
Yes. Anna, do you have any updates on Cousin Eddie type living back in the 50s?
Back in the 50s. Well, I think it was, you had your family around, and there's always a family member or two that was always fun. And I don't know, there was just so many funny things in the movie I could relate to. And the Jelly Club. I think there were always, back then, there were these little clubs that you could do, like Candy of the Month or the Jelly of the Month. And I remember those, and I'm like, why? Why would you do? But I remember that. It was very popular.
The gift that keeps on giving. Is
Yes.
That's right. There you go.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, there used to be Fruit of the Month too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was a long-lasting gift from one month to the next. That was kind of a fun thing to do. And I can recall, Jackie, when, of course, this was after the 50s, when if we didn't know what to get someone, we'd give them a fruit of the month or whatever, just because.
Yeah. Through the Harry and David Company.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, there you go.
And that was always a good gift for grandparents or maybe special neighbors when you wanted to give them something, but you didn't know quite what, and it would be delivered to their door. So it was a nice, easy, clean gift to give.
Yes.
Well, back in the 50s, there were, we talked about some gifts that were given, but did any of you get dolls in that era? Tell us about the doll that you got, Anna, rather.
I got a doll with a carriage, and I must have been about 3 or 4 years of age. And I love dolls, but for some reason, the baby carriage was so interesting to me. And all I would do, I have pictures of it, is I laid the carriage on its side, and I would just spin the wheels. And my mom told me they started getting concerned about me, and because I just would spin the wheels, and they would put the doll in the carriage, and I said, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I must have been fascinated with that, and back then too, when you got a gift, you didn't get many gifts. At least I might have been on the naughty side, but I didn't get a lot of gifts. It just wasn't done. And so you maybe got a doll. And then I think my sister probably got the carriage. And then we had to share the one doll. We had to share the one carriage. I do remember that a lot.
Okay. It's interesting you call it a carriage. We called it a buggy.
A buggy.
Yes. And maybe that has to do with the nationalities that we are.
I think probably, yeah.
Okay, did you get a doll for Christmas?
Well, I can remember, I went to country school in kindergarten and first grade and second grade. And I was Mary in the little Christmas program at the country school. And that day, before Christmas, I got this little bed, and it was painted pink that my grandfather made. And then that baby that we wrapped up in a blanket, that was baby Jesus for the play. And I still have that little bed. I do not have the same doll, but now, because now it's filled with stuffed animals that the grandchildren play with. But that was very special that I got to use it in country school, and then I just kept that bed.
Did anyone get a Chatty Cathy or a Betsy Wetsy or a doll that walked?
Betsy Wetsy, I feel like I remember trying to give her lots of bottles because then she wet.
Yeah.
And you can change her diaper.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So did you only feed her water? Was there only water in the bottle? Or I would think if there was milk, boy, and that went through the doll, that could start to get rancid.
Yeah.
I only remember water too, Janine.
Okay.
Both we were kind of warned about that from our parents.
Yes. And anyone ever get an easy bake oven?
We
I
had the
wanted
real
one,
thing.
but I didn't get it.
Yeah, same here, Anna.
How about a dollhouse? A tin dollhouse?
No.
Oh,
I
never
I
did.
got one of those. I
we
really
had
love that.
we had a medley one too. Yes, we did.
Uh-huh.
A two-story, open to the
Yeah.
front.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Jackie, I don't know what even happened to that, but that's a good memory. That was fun.
Did the little characters that come with it then that fit in the dollhouse, or how?
Yes,
you just
they did. A
Oh.
little baby was kind of naked, I think, except maybe it did have a diaper on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
And
do you
the
know,
furniture for each room
Mm-hmm.
came with it too.
Furniture, right?
Jackie, whatever happened to your dollhouse?
I don't know.
Okay.
You know, it was at Mama's house. I have no idea.
Okay. Well, one thing that Jackie and I would each get most every Christmas was a piece of lingerie, usually a full slip. Did you ever get? I hated that gift. Just like, hey, you this furry bag you didn't like. And it was probably a necessity that mom and dad thought we needed, and so giving it at Christmas was a great time to do it. But it certainly wasn't on my Santa list.
No. So, did either of you get new clothing at Christmas time?
No, I think it was, it's basically book, game. And the interesting thing is I always got a game, and both my parents hated to play games. So that was,
They just thought it was educational, maybe.
educational. And then I probably got another toy, like a doll or something like that. But yeah.
Do you remember the game? Any of the games?
Yes. Aggravation. I think that's what it's called, where you knock everybody off, and everything. And, let's see. I know we never got Monopoly. And I one time said to Dad, I want Monopoly. And he said, because he usually was the one that had to play with me. Mom was busy in the kitchen or with my sister. And he said, that takes way too long to play on it. We're not playing that. Old Maid. We got a lot of card games. Old Maid was a big one. Crazy 8, things like that.
Go Fish.
And
Go
Author?
Fish.
Did you ever get the card game Authors?
No.
Oh, it was really neat because that's where I first learned about Henry Wadsworth Longfellow and James Fenimore Cooper and
Louisa May Alcott.
Yes, it was cool.
Yeah. How about you, Kay?
Well, Janine, have you asked Fred about that? We had that card game Authors also.
Oh,
I
okay.
can remember that you brought that up. But I was thinking of I feel like Scrabble maybe came as a game at Christmas time. And I had one other one on my mind. If I remember playing Scrabble.
Did you have Easy Money? We didn't have Monopoly, did we, Janine? But we had Easy Money.
And I don't think we got Easy Money till in the 60s, in the 1960s. We didn't have many games. Grandpa and Grandma Pfeiffer, when we go to their house, they had Chinese checkers, and so we would play that there. But otherwise, board games, I don't recall that we had many.
We had a few puzzles. I remember Piggly Wiggly one and the
Elmer Fudd.
The Three Little Pigs, that one. And I had the United States game. That's how I learned the states and capitals. And that one of those puzzles is coming to some grandchildren near us this year.
And were your puzzles?
Only it's a big floor edition.
Okay.
The
wooden puzzles. The wooden puzzles with the wooden pieces.
Okay.
Some of those, they were special.
Well, I'm curious to know, ladies, how have any of these I lost my train of thought, customs that in which you participated in the 50s, have you taken them with you into your adulthood and into your marriage and exposed your children and grandchildren to them? Kay, how about you?
Well, I think it would have to be the Christmas stockings, Janine. We always put out our stockings for Santa Claus. They were always filled in the morning, and they would have an apple in them and treats in them. And actually, your mother, Jackie and Janine, made stockings for our first 2 children. And we have those made stockings. They're hanging up right now, and we use those. Yes, definitely. And they were always filled with, excuse me. Yeah, Chuck just reminded me, Jackie, do you remember finishing the stocking for Garrett then? Your mom
Yes. Yes,
Thank you.
I've continued that tradition. Mhm.
It was great. So yes, we fill the stockings are filled when the children wake up on Christmas morning, yet to this day.
Okay, all right. And Anna, what
Mhm.
what tradition do you still carry through in your home now at Christmas time?
Well, I do love having people over. I have oftentimes people over for Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. But the one tradition I carry over, I'm not sure my grandkids are excited about. It is they get a book every Christmas.
All right.
A good one.
But the books when they were little, when they were little, they loved their books. But now what I do, no one prints pictures anymore or anything like that. So when they post on Facebook, which my granddaughter does, but my grandson doesn't, or Instagram, I pull it off and I make a photo book from one of the companies and put it together so that someday I've done it now they've had a book, and then when they were tired of the regular reading books, I've been doing that. So I think I'm on my 6th year of doing that with them. And usually at first they would just go, oh, thank you, put it aside. And they learn that there's sometimes something tucked inside that book they might want. And and I think someday they will be really liking them.
Mhm.
Well, I've discovered in life, the older I get, the more I treasure those memories past.
Mhm.
And hopefully, I think that's true of many people.
Mhm.
Oh, ladies, this has been delightful. Learning about your Christmases in the 1950s and what a great time it was. And who knows, maybe someone on this Christmas day in 2023 received a present just like you had. Do you suppose that could have happened?
Mhm.
If it did, we'd certainly love to have people comment in the comments below or respond to us in our Facebook page, because Christmas is a fun time, and it's certainly a wonderful time for reminiscing and thinking of the joys of Christmas past. So
Mhm.
Jackie, first off, Anna and Kay, we thank you for
Thank you,
giving
yes.
of your time and of your hearts and memories with us today and reuniting with us on the 1950s Fun Chat.
Well,
I
thank
think all
you.
of these. Thank you. Sorry.
Mhm.
I think all of these memories have. There's a word that holds everything together, and that's love.
Mhm.
And the love that we have been shown, and the love that we give. So, viewers, we'd like to have you look at, as Janine mentioned, comment, click on the red subscribe button, click on the blue thumbs up button, and until next time, tell your friends and even your relatives about the 1950s Fun Chat. So, until next time, toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas.